I didn't come here by myself. I brought everybody with me. We are also committed personally in National Action Network and in other groups that it broke our hearts to see what happened at the center being built by Reverend Dante Hickman. Reverend Hickman, whatever we have to do, we're going to help you rebuild that center. You are a national project now. He's a good brother, a great preacher, and what he did is something that must be completed. And we want to pledge openly, Reverend Coates and I talked about a long time, that we're going to do whatever we have to do to help raise the money to finish that center. National Action Network has planned, has said that we wanted to do a march from Baltimore to Washington, which we will do this month. We delayed it because of the violence. We're going to have it tight and ready because we must go and lay down before the Congress the issue of jurisdictional thresholds, the issue of policing. We had a huge march, tens of thousands, December 13th. We said then, after the cases that we have spearheaded, then that this has to be dealt with. Here we go again. And we can't keep just going from city to city. We've got to deal with this as a national crisis. Baltimore can be the model of how we correct it, how we turn it around, how we show the nation that this is enough. That is what we are committed to do. So I want this mayor to know, we don't know the political differences, we don't know whatever, but we do know that whatever happens going forward will set a national tone toward national solutions. The ugly writing and cartoons and the little inferences that have been made against this mayor is a distraction from you dealing with the poverty and the unemployment and the lack of equal education. Don't scapegoat her for what has been institutionally unequal in this town. We want to see justice. Somebody wrote an article, I was reading coming down, Sharpton and Baltimore. I just got here and it's already mine. No justice, no peace is provocative. No justice means you can't have real peace without justice. Yeah, I helped popularize the slogan. It meant peace means justice. Most folk don't want peace, they want quiet. They want folk to just shut up and suffer. We want real peace, and that comes with the presence of justice. And let us do that, but we want it in a way of dignity. We are not violent. We're trying to stop the violence. And for us to be here almost 2 weeks later and not know why this young man lost his life, for people to be playing games in the deep South, in North Charleston, young man was dead, video sent in, they fired the cop and arrested him that day. You telling me they got more respect for life in the deep South where they have a Confederate flag over the state capitol than we do up north? We need to quit playing games and start dealing with one level of justice and not scapegoat people, but start dealing with the institutional inequality. So, Ms. Mayor, we want to bring real peace. We want to support you in the efforts of real peace. But real peace is also dealing with jobs and housing and education. Real peace is when you fought by yourself against this law enforcement Bill of Rights. And many that are criticizing you wouldn't stand with you. If they stood with you then, maybe we would not have had to be here today. We know her record has answered this before Gray. Now we get some after Gray concerned officials that if you'd been there before, we may not have been here. It is with that we pledge to work, but we will hold those accountable we work with. And we come to support the local leadership. We're here to support y'all. So don't worry about whatever we doing here. We here for y'all, as we were in every city we go, and we want them to know you got national backup. So we are here, Reverend Hickman. We're here, Reverend Brian, all of the work that is done. We're here to give the national support. May I bring at this time the mayor of this city, who has stood and tried to diligently work these last several days, and is going now that the state prosecutors has received, we understand, the package that was being publicized like it was a press conference rather than evidence. We want to stand today and say to people, let us get justice in a deliberate but expeditious way. The mayor of the city, Mayor Stephanie Rawlings-Blake.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Please have a seat. Thank you. Now, how come it didn't get feedback when you were up here? I want to thank you for the opportunity to be with you all today. These are very, very troubling times in our city. And I have seen over the past few days, time and time again, people step up. People who love our city, people who grew up here and might not live here anymore, people who grew up in the Sandtown, Winchester neighborhood and might not live there anymore back because they want better for their communities. What I've said consistently is the Baltimore that you've seen over the past few days is the Baltimore that I know and love. What we're known for, that resiliency, that ability when everybody else counts us out, that we will stand together. And I'm so proud to be the mayor of this great city. A report was delivered today, I know that many anticipated it tomorrow, to the state's attorney. Now is our time for unity and to work together, as the Gray family has asked for, as their attorney have asked for, to seek justice for Mr. Gray. I just left Matthew Henson Elementary School, and I was joined, just like I said, community leaders, volunteers, teachers, and our Ravens, and we handed out thousands of pounds of food. And you know what everyone, to a person, they're concerned about their community. They want justice, and they also want peace in their neighborhood. They want to know when we're going to be able to rebuild their community. That has to be all of our focus. That has to be all of our work. And I know that we can get there. Reverend Sharpton, I was listening to you talk about the fact that there are 3 African-American women who are pivotal in this case, and it made me think about the fact that we are on the national stage. And, I'm from here, you know this, I told you. Grew up across the street from, where's Pastor Carter? Where did he go? He's right there. He's all in the back, sorry. Grew up across the street. I don't have any stories to tell you about him. He was good from the whole time I've known him. My parents grew up here. I wanted to serve the city of Baltimore and the people of the city of Baltimore since I was a child, and did everything I could to put myself in the best position to do that. Went to the best high school in the city, Western High School. Don't hate. I went to the best college that I could get to, Oberlin College, and when I got there, I said, if I'm going to be of service, I need to know a few things. I need to know how government works, so I studied government, and I need to know economics. I took 3.5 years of economics. I don't even like economics, but I said I have to learn it if I'm going to be of service. Then when I left there, I went to law school. Why? Because I thought it was important training for the work that I intended to do for my city. And as soon as I got out of law school, I ran for city council. And why? Because I love this city, and I know we can be better than what we have seen. So Reverend Al, when you were talking about the fact that we need to stop playing and get real about what's possible, the reason we can't, there's the reason why nothing can happen to the officers. And again, that the justice system will be what it will. We want the process to go forward. You're innocent until proven guilty. We're going to do all of that. But let's just say it was South Carolina. Even if the same thing happened, because of the laws in this state, we can't do anything until after the trial is over. And when I went down to Annapolis to try to fight for reform, simple reforms for the Law Enforcement Bill of Rights, people looked at me like I had three eyes. And now to stand here today and say I don't care, that I don't care, I don't want to reform the police department, when I was down there, I'm not even going to tolerate it. The record is clear. I invited the Department of Justice in here to reform our police department, to do collaborative reform. The only thing stronger than that is if they come in and do a consent decree, and nobody wants the Department of Justice to come in here and take over our city. The highest form of reform, the highest level of reform that you can get before they come, and the only reason they do a consent decree is if you don't own up to your problems. I know we have problems, and I was determined to fix them. Don't get it twisted. The Sun is trying to tell you all different stuff. $5 million here, whatever. What they don't tell you is down. Police shootings, discourtesy, excessive force, lawsuits against the city. We're finding more officers that are found accused of wrongdoing guilty. They don't want to tell you that part, because they don't want us to be in the victory. We will get justice for Freddie Gray. Believe you me, we will get justice. And we're going to do it because we're going to work together, because if, with the nation watching, 3 black women at 3 different levels can't get justice and healing for this community, you tell me where we're going to get it in our country. So I want to thank the Department of Justice for coming here today. Community Relations Service, independent. They're not. I know I can't remember what you told me, but I know you're not. You don't prosecute and you don't do something else. But what you do is stand in the middle and make sure the process is right and the communities are able to heal while we seek justice. I want to thank you for being here. They are going to discuss at some point some training of community marshals, because what we saw in Baltimore were people standing up against the rioters, against the people who were looting and stealing. Those people I want to thank, and those people we want to make sure they get more resources. So I want to thank the Department of Justice for doing that. So I want to thank you for your indulgence. I know I probably talked longer than you intended me to, but I want to thank you all and commit to working and doing everything in my power to help our city reach the greatness that I know in my heart that we are capable of. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we will hear from a former mayor of New Orleans, president of the National Urban League, our brother and friend, Mark Morial.
First of all, good afternoon. Let me thank the pastor. I want to thank Reverend Al, colleagues here at the dais, the Honorable Stephanie Rawlings-Blake, and all of you for receiving us this afternoon here in your community. Let me also express my appreciation to my colleague here in Baltimore, J. Howard Henderson. Stand up, Howard, the president of the Baltimore Urban League. I wanted to come because, and for several reasons, but primarily because I wanted to stand in support of Mayor Stephanie Rawlings-Blake. You see, in a crisis, when you're in City Hall, there's the playing field and there's the gallery. And the gallery is composed of cheap seats. And it is not uncommon for people who are sitting in the gallery, particularly in the cheap seats, to yell down to the field, cut here, cut there, throw a pass, or don't do this. In a crisis like the one that this city faces, which today is a part, as the Reverend has said, a national crisis, a state of emergency. I want to encourage the leadership of this community to not allow the forces of political infighting, division, rivalries, player hating, backstabbing, yesterday's politics to get in the way of the issue at hand. Nothing is to be gained. Nothing will come of it. The young men and women that live in this city that are looking for hope and opportunity will not benefit. The cause for justice for Fred Gray will not benefit. The need to reform, fix the Baltimore Police Department will not benefit. It will not benefit from division and distraction. So there's a time when responsible men and women meet the challenge of these times. No generation in 50 years has had to deal with this confluence of challenges, Reverend. 20 American cities whose police departments are either under a federal consent decree or under investigation by the Justice Department. 33 of 70 American cities today with black unemployment levels exceeding 15%. Poverty, which had been in decline, on the rise, and this is all happening here and now when the so-called recession is over. The recession has not left inner city America. So this is also not a time for people to say, well, this is an issue of local leadership versus national leadership versus West Side leadership versus East Side leadership. This is part of a national situation. We have been in Ferguson and New York, and there's North Charleston and Cleveland, and there was Los Angeles, and we don't know what tomorrow holds. So I'm here to support the mayor, but also to encourage as someone that led a city in crisis to say to the people of this city, don't get head faked. Don't get distracted. Don't get deceived. We have to focus on justice for Fred Gray. We have to focus on confronting, and it can't happen overnight, the problems and challenges of poverty and joblessness. We have to confront those. I give the mayor tremendous credit, and it probably didn't get the attention it deserved, to go down to Annapolis, to sit before a legislative committee and argue for reforms and repeals of the Law Enforcement Officers' Bill of Rights. Let's call on the leadership in Annapolis to sign on the dotted line and say, I will support reform of the Law Enforcement Officers' Bill of Rights. No matter what party they're in, no matter what they represent, what the Law Enforcement Bill of Rights does is it gives police officers enhanced constitutional protections beyond that which a Fred Gray doesn't have. It's a relic. It's old. It deserves to be in the book of repealed laws. So I, again, just want to pledge the strong support of the National Urban League and the Urban League movement to do what we can along with the leadership of the national civil rights, social justice communities, and others who want to be with you in the quest and the cause for justice. And we appreciate you inviting us here today, and we pledge our commitment, and let us stay unified. Let us work together. Let us sound the cause of togetherness. We know that young people are looking for hope. I say we call on everyone to stand up. If you can provide one job paying for one youth this summer, if you can do $1,400, if you can do 3, do 3, 5, do 5, 10, do 10. Let's do something for the youth of Baltimore this summer. Let's give them a chance to say yes to work, yes to hope. There's so much that we can do if we stand together, if we work together. Thank you.
Before I bring the next speaker, I want to acknowledge Attorney Barbara Unwin. I didn't see her, one of our national civil rights leaders, and one of the great grassroots organizers of our...
All right, guys, so there you heard from a few different leaders. Obviously, we heard from Al Sharpton, we heard from the mayor of Baltimore, and we heard from the president of the National Urban League. So that's an update in terms of what's happening in Baltimore. In fact, the specifics of this was actually held at a Baptist church this